Welcome back. I hope you had a chance to watch the other two videos relating to electronic connectors. As I said before, we love them at the and also we hate them at the same time. We love them because of their features that you can connect to related subassemblies, and independently you can disconnect them and then test them or interchange them and so on. It's a little like your headphone cables. So if you see your headphones come in various types, like fully covering the ears, close, some are open, some are behind the ear, some are through the ear, and then the standard, whatever you like. Plus at the end you have a termination. So at this point the termination is very convenient for us because we can change the things what we want. What we carry when we are walking will be a little different from what when you are listening to more serious audio somewhere else and with ambient noise, noise cancelling and so on. The critical thing here is the connector at the end. I hope you have watched the first two videos relating a little to this. Why we hate them is that there are just too many of them and they give problems. One of the simple problems are, as I explained before, the total number of insertions is fixed, and unless it is engineered very, very carefully, they don't work uninterrupted. They give unintentional drop and then a lot of mismatch in impedance in case RF, something called VSWR keeps increasing, and then at one extreme you would rather not have them. You should have a continuous connection. At the other extreme you should be able to remove them. So today I will now try to move on to the military style of connectors. If you just give a search for mil standard MS shell connectors, we end up with this beautiful collection of, really large number of connectors. I hope, yeah, fine. Oh, I will go back to the original. You see here, the basic thing is a contact interface. You have pins and then you have a shell on the outside, some way of mounting it and lot of threading arrangements, and somewhat related to it is the various types of assemblies and sub-assemblies which you've seen this. Main advantage being, unlike the other places where you can easily access them and you can quickly do some repair with this, in the case of these military standard connectors, ruggedness is important, and ruggedness on normal dropping or anything, and once you attach two of them and then either you screw them or put a bayonet, it should stay attached, and that interface electrically should not degrade with various type of things. So you see here a very large number of options. Have seen this? Anything you can think of. This one is the simplest flange mounted socket or female this thing. Similar one we can also have male sockets also, and you see the mating part for it could be, of course the number of pins and all should match. Something like this is probably mates with it, which is the end of a cable. And then if you see the anatomy of the whole thing, at the back you have a strain relief mechanism, and then you have something which a shell has all the necessary connections to see that it mates 100%. And something here have you noticed, most important part of it is you have a boot which you can plug it in, you can release the strain relief afterwards, you can squeeze it and sits neatly here. Can you see a small difference here? There is no flange here. So it could be end of a cable. In contrast, this one is a very similar to that, except that it is a wall mount receptacle. The front of it has a flange, then we have 4 holes and all. The further is, if you see the small dot here, it is a bayonet mount. You see here, there is a small groove here and all that, and then there is also usually a mating or something which ensures that misalignment as well as mismating will not happen. So you have all these things called box mountable. In the case of box mountable, this one side goes and sits on the enclosure, the other side you have a solder pot and so on. So if you go down further instead of that simple box receptacle, we have a proper nut here. This nut ensures that it sits properly. So if you keep on going here, we have a cable mount receptacle and so on. I will now close this and probably this and take a closer look at it. You have seen this? This is directly taken from Wikipedia, where things are little more clearer. While they are all bayonet mount, this one is a screw mount. And you see here, and there is also a small color coded ring. It is used for various purposes, which I will get into it later. See, this is a real beauty. real beauty. I do not know whether it is a crimping tool or what is it, and that many of these cables can be inserted into it. Okay. And wiring has been taken. If you go to the extreme here, just now I was trying to keep a few, I'm sorry, maybe here, yeah, I made this, you have seen this, no? That is a, what do you call, a very small portion of a aircraft harness. And if you take a very, any reasonably big aircraft harness, it runs the length of the whole airplane. If the airplane is so long, they have a whole board or a harnessed board in which they need to check everything, and then there are automatic testing machines, and they will try to. Now these days, even this is what I was telling you the other day, even this vehicle testing, vehicle things also, they are big. This is from the SAE, Society of Automotive Engineers. This is a slightly not as complex a system as we think about. Main thing is, you have seen that connections have to be perfect, and usually there is a machine which checks the continuity of it. So I will close this window to save a little bit of time. Shielded wires which have an external shield here, eventually they get terminated into this type of small connectors, and this is the old DIN 41 probably 617 connector, and then things are getting only more and more complicated. Looks very simple, no? It says engine harness. Tough. Every point, you have seen this here. Typically, this is from a aircraft type of thing, a small part of it. Everything is terminated in a proper connector which will have to do the job under all conditions, and this is while building it up you need to make all these things. Now I will come back to the starting point. Maybe I will close this window so that it will not distract us anymore. Oh. So we have a equipment. I am not right now. I am not very much interested in what the equipment is or what the function it does. Only thing I'd like to point out is, on one end you have this beautiful connector here, then you have some switches here, the other hand I have you connectors here, and then whole thing using various types of other connectors, it seems to go on to the printed circuit board. This looks like a very simple audio device which probably has XLR or other things. The beauty of it is here is, inside this is not required to be what you call opened frequently. Only at the time of testing or repair you do it, and the number of insertions are less. But the outside, the connectors like this XLR or equivalent connectors are often used frequently, and not intentionally, unintentionally a little extra load comes, and it is not the same connector which mates with it every time. It may be a different what do you call audio source, or it may be some other thing, but the interface is standard. But XLR is supposed to go. Sometimes it is sitting above the board, sometimes it sits flush inside. So the main this thing what I wanted to tell you is, you see here, this is something. So we have all these type of things now which will try to mate with each other and so on. And this is typically an old transceiver in my days, that is in 1970. They were very popular. Even today they continue to be popular, except that if you see here now, while the packaging is outside and compatible, inside things have changed. So this is a R&S Rode and Schwarz thing. So we have a various other things. This one is basically a simple trans receiver, probably used in the high frequency range, that is 1.5 to 30 megahertz. What has not changed is these connectors here. You have seen this? And what has not changed is these connectors. And this is that jam nut type of thing. You put a nut here and tighten it, and then you see a small flat here. They are all details to make sure the panel has been drilled to suit this, and it sits in only one direction. This is the reality. While in the military things are tested and they work, in the case of in the military things are verified and you have a test certificate. If you take a routine thing like I will give you a dangling thing. I am not sure, because these are available for us now, costing very, very, very small, maybe $5 in my case. No, it will be around 200, 300 rupees, all the way to something else. But the beauty is, while this is visible, inside it's still a wonder the way it works. So I will now move on to the next picture. This is probably the inside view of the other connectors. So you see here now, you see the connectors. Outside it is supposed to sit without the slightest misfire. So this is probably it is supposed to come up earlier from the thing at the behind. So you see here we have, I do not know what exactly, probably it's a battery case, and Probably the battery case already comes with some wiring and all that. They wanted to show that this is reality of this, no? It doesn't load, we are saved. You have seen this. This is how typically industrial or signal connections are all given and terminated at the end of a long cable harness. Not easy. I don't know if I can. Extremely interesting. Design and starting, and eventually actually in the shop. This is how I will say, no, very simple or complicated. This is designs work about. While it looks complex and it looks like as if I am reading away some mumbo jumbo, the logical starting point continues to be still the schematic capture. And even if you take a thing like the cell phone, obviously you have separate sections of it which can be separated, and subsystem to subsystem is where you need to specify a proper type of a connector. Advantage of a connector is independently you can check the subsystem and replace it. If you know what is at fault, quickly you can replace it, and then downtime the whole system is very, very small. If you are a hacker or a audio enthusiast, part of the ownership experience is how to play around with all the things. But in the case of a serious mission critical thing, the person who is doing the job, the pilot or the astronaut or the industrial machinist or anything, he is least interested in the maintenance part of it. It has to work all times. That is where invariably you end up with these connectors. Okay. If you go down, we have a large list of various things. Probably the next picture shows you. Yeah, I just out of choice, I wanted to just stop it here. You have seen here there is a small ferrule or some teeth like thing. The idea is once something meshes and sits inside, after that it should not rotate and create problems. So we have all these things about how to mark the numbers and how to make it in military, commercial aviation, vehicle platforms and all this. Invariably people use this type of connectors. So I couldn't get a picture of it, I will just stop this here. I will come back to something which is a this industrial plugs and sockets. If you have to come out and see those huge public performances by bands, then musicians, singers, lip syncers and all that, one of the things here, the equipment needs to be rugged because we do not even know what environment it is. The very simple thing I talked to you about the XLR connectors. XLR is related to the audio and mic and all that, because that is the thing. Second thing is the video feed. Video feeds have their own type of connectors. Eventually now we have got into HDMI. Earlier we had the 3-pin flat cables and so on. Conveniently we have forgotten about the power, and power is demands are only increasing. So if you see my this thing here, you have seen this fantastic. We have wall mounted socket here. There is a plug. Again, that old rule which I have talked to you about, saying generally power is taken out of a socket via a plug. So this one is more like an extension cord. So you have a plug here which plugs in here, and then this is a connector and plug which by definition have been made such that they interlock with each other. In the other end again something which is very similar, this and that, these are similar again. You have a flexible cable, goes back into a connector which goes to the inlet. In this case loosely there is a appliance, it can be anything. If it has to be removed regularly, you will have a this side of a hooded thing. Otherwise, avoiding this pair directly, this wire is probably taken into the equipment and wired inside. This is a must everywhere. And what happens when you are not using these connectors? You have seen that each of these connectors come with a beautiful cap. That cap completely closes and shields the power supply from two things. Imagine similarly here, even the socket has a cap. You have to press a button and open it. Then once you push it inside, this joint is guaranteed. Now unfortunately other end becomes exposed, so there is also a cover on this here. Same thing happens in the case of this plug also. In here this unit doesn't seem to have it. Even plugs usually come with a cover on the other side. You have seen this. This is typically how this industrial plugs and sockets come. And the core of it inside, if you see, is still a contact pin and a contact socket. So all options are there. One of them, this is split and then it has a spring. Sometimes this is split and it has the various things. Here see, here as we go here we come into interesting thing. You see here the socket end has a cover, and then there is a small button, we press and open it, and here they have given this is a plug and this is socket, both of them made together. Once they are made together, they sit completely. So here even color coding, lot of grand details, how what mates with what and all that they have been given here. In the right, yeah, this is the drawing I was looking for. You see here, so we have a box. Then we have a flange, in the back. All versions are available. Some of them come with a hood which sits on top of it. Conductors are connected, so there is again once again strain relief, and then you see here these this contact block is quite a lot like what you will find inside your other equipment. I mean your household things. I showed you various other things. So you see here as you go down, you have seen this. Time has come even for electric vehicles. They have standardized those things. So the cable end of your vehicle also is covered, and then the one on the wall is covered. You see here so many things. Domestic use adapter, you see here, it could be cables here, and then you see all of them a socket, and then you have a plug system. Sockets which are flush, sockets which It's a beauty, no, how to charge things and all this. So it goes on and on and on like that. So you have also, you know, right angle ones, and then you have straight ones, and there are combinations which are slightly at an angle, which helps things. And then you see here there's a boot, it's a 90-degree boot. Then there are adapters. So, and in fact if you see this mates with another plug or a socket depending on the contact arrangement inside, and those covers do not come in the way, which is one more feature depending on the manufacturers and all that, which is somehow, no, something has gone into the manufacture of it. One variant they have shown here, you see here, you open it, you attach it to this here. Why I am stressing in this is, if you remember, I showed you that very dangerous clothes iron press where the threads are exposed. You can't afford to have it in an industry. One is obviously safety, another is downtime, both the equipment downtime as well as, see here, anything you can look for, anything you can think of, probably it's available on in the manufacturer's catalog. Only issue is, again, you have to be patient, look in the catalog carefully, and then make sure that you order the correct item. So I'll just allow me to go through a little faster. So we have all sorts of normal flange, angled outlet, straight outlet, and then you see these ranges, 32 amps, very very large selection of these are available. Beyond this, of course, generally, let me just go through it, and main important thing is you have an angled box, full 19-degree, little straight. Occasionally you may even find them in a professional setup like what we have here on the walls everywhere, and the ubiquitous adapter to make sure that this works very well. And in fact, these air conditioning people and all insist that we do not use normal, what do you call, 15 and 30 amps plug-in socket, that we actually use this. I am with them. Avoid using the, what do you call, domestic plugs and sockets. Now you see here, now this comes with pictures, and you see we have a beautiful reminder which we keep looking at all the time. 44, 66, 67. IP44 is not even splash proof, but if you direct, or in some angles, the water can get inside. But when you come to IP66, 67, even the contact and sleeves are very carefully protected, so that most industrial machine tools and all, they are expected to come with this type of things here. This is what I was telling you, when it is not in use, you have a cover which keeps it covered, and depending on various type of, see, you have seen this here, in this case they have just provided a gasket. That gasket seems to make sure, and then you see this, we have a, he calls it cable grip, something which squeezes the whole thing and holds it hard, which will prevent leakage and strain relief So along with strain relief, you also get this thing here. You see here, very nice, beautifully. It's not just safe. This collet saves our lives. In the unlikely case of any time you're trying to pull something out of the socket, it will not come out easily. So you have all this. I think I shouldn't spend, except that you have seen this, no? We can directly turn the, skin the wire, push it inside, and then assemble it using a standard screwdriver. Alternatively, the ends of the wires can be crimped or even soldered with another small lug. If you put it inside, normal course to make sure that connection is fast. You have seen this is finally when both of them are watertight spring loaded covers. I suggest you take a look around next time when you go to a fabrication shop. Likely that you will find it. At least the place I work here, all of our machines comes terminated like this. So we have plugs, we have connectors, and this is a very, very long thing. Allow me to go through a little faster. We are coming into the critical part of reading a catalog. That first part of the reading the catalog was about what are all the contact arrangements and all. The second part of it is for each type of material what you order, you have seen the dimensions, what is the maximum depth from the front of the panel, and then what is all this, and more than anything else, mounting holes. These days, like us, if you are lucky, if you have a printer, you can plot all these various type of the drilling detail here. Take a 1:1 printout and you can check. In fact, you can use it like a marking template, which we have been doing for a lot of times. So if you go down, you will see that every detail what you want is already catalogued here. You have seen this here. What is the clearance hole, what is the diameter, and then since we have become metric, you see that the moment at 5.5, it generally means that an M5 screw or M5 fastener set will be ideal for these things. So, you have seen this. Electrical and mechanical performances are guaranteed. Working voltage, current interrupting, load breaking. 5000 cycles is directly endurance with some type of load. Alternating load means AC current. Happily, we can break AC current. But there is a little problem with DC. DC tends to arc. There is no arc quenching automatically. So, normally things which are rated for AC need to be derated or preferably not to be used. Then you see this even load break, they have given 1000 cycles, but you should understand that a few hundred are already probably used up in the factory in testing and then during installation and so on. So you need to derate or make sure that this many times only we will be able to use it. So, mechanical. Nice, no? 75 centimeters drop impact resistance. Typically 75 centimeters is your work table height. So, if something should fall from the work table height, no permanent damage can be allowed. Means if functionally it should not degrade. Minor chipping and minor what do you call defigurement can be there, but they can withstand probably. And since the IEC has been given here, so obviously number of drops and all that is very, it's all controlled carefully in this condition. What looks like very simple is not as simple as it comes down. Okay. Oh. We have this IP67. Which will work underwater. The moment you connect it makes sure that the things don't work. I mean, I'm sorry, things don't degrade and continue to work as before. And as before, you may be wondering, why does something have to be underwater? I'm sure some of you have seen all those waterborne things. Swimming pools and all are dangerous. Nobody normally uses these things there. But any underwater lighting, and in the case of industries, wet industry, chemical industry and all that, even your food processing and most oil extraction everywhere, liquids are real. So, as though these are expensive, maybe cost 3 or 4 times the standard thing, people continue to use all these extensive things. I will stop here. When you get a chance, look through the catalog. You remember that cordless iron press which I have tried to show you, pressing iron which I showed you. If you look at it, these pins and all this, now they look a little like probably taken from somewhere. So, it is possible for us to have a socket which is the end of a cable and use that cordless device as a corded device. So, if you go down, we have now so many types of these configurations for these sockets. You have seen this stage lighting, stage pin connector, stage lighting in the US. So, we have non-stop, I can keep going down, I think I will stop here and show you. Typically, look up the Wikipedia and look at all these pins and sockets. Once upon a time, these are all made in metal clad, flush mounted, but now that is a little bit rare. Instead, we have wall mounted sockets which are used extensively. This is what I have gone through. Yeah. What I thought I will do at this stage is that give a break here